Hi everyone, this is Isabel, co-founder and creator of SIV, and this is the SIV Skin Microbiome series where we highlight the important role of the skin microbiome in healing stubborn skin conditions. Today we have Katherine Schwappach on the show, and she has been a practicing esthetician for 3.5 years, located in Denver, Colorado. Katherine has a special focus in skin health, right? So just healthy skin, which I love. You're going to see Katherine is so intuitive with her practice, and I think you're really going to love this episode. So let's get into it. Okay, and we are here with Katherine. Thank you so much for being on. I'm so excited to talk with you.
Yeah, me too.
We talk all the time over Instagram, so it's so fun to be able to now see you kind of in person and see your face and our interactions. I'm loving that. So it's nice to meet you.
So nice to meet you this way. I know I feel like we're besties already, but
no, I agree. Do you remember how you found SIV? You've been carrying it now for a minute, but I feel like we got close pretty fast.
We did, yeah. So Faces by Katie and then my friend Hannah at the Darling Aesthetics here in Denver, both were posting about it a lot. And I just love collaborating with other estheticians because I think we all help each other rise together. I know it's easy to gatekeep, but there are some really amazing estheticians out there that love to share their wealth and knowledge with everybody. And I asked them both, do I need this? And they said yes. So you were actually the first product line that I purchased when I opened Rev. I purchased you in October and I opened my doors November 11th.
Oh my God, I didn't know that. That's amazing.
Yeah, you were the first product line that I purchased.
Let's go. That's so awesome. And yeah, you're so right with the gatekeeping thing. That actually does shock me about the industry. I'm sure some estheticians are gatekeeping, whatever, but for the majority of the people that are carrying SIV, I feel like you guys are also open and willing to help each other. So that's amazing.
I think it's good to keep some things close to the chest. Your intellectual property is valuable, but I also think if there's a product out there that can really help someone's business grow or help their clientele, you should absolutely be sharing it. Your protocols are your protocols. You have your own intellectual property in the way that you do things, and you're entitled to keep that to yourself. But I'm don't gatekeep SIV. We got to put her out there.
Totally. No, and that's actually a good point, that just because you have the same products as somebody doesn't mean your results are going to be the same, because I can tell you there's a large spectrum of people who even carry SIV where some estheticians, no matter what, are getting really good results with it, where some of them are kind of struggling and they're I don't know why I'm not getting the same results as some of these other estheticians. And it's well, that's kind of like you said, where the skill comes in, the intuition comes in, because you guys are really intuitive on how to use products. You see somebody's skin and it's okay, I just have this feeling that this is what's going on. Even when it's you see two people with a similar condition, it's I feel this thing is happening over here and then something different is happening over here. So I noticed that a lot with you guys, which I've really enjoyed learning from all of you guys on.
Yeah, it's so fun. I love it.
Yeah. And so, okay, so you decided to bring SIV on. It was the first one when you opened Rev, which is freaking amazing. Tell me what drew you to it? Were you searching for something for the microbiome? Where does the skin microbiome kind of play in your practice?
So majority of my clientele struggle from perioral dermatitis, eczema, psoriasis, or acne. It's very, very rare that someone comes to me and is I just want to age naturally and I'm happy with my skin the way it is. And I don't really know why this has happened to me, but I feel I am just skin condition queen now, apparently. But again, not everyone with perioral dermatitis is going to be treated the same with acne, etc. However, I'm in Denver, Colorado, so barrier health is a huge issue here. We live in a really harsh climate. I call it a high maintenance climate because I'll travel to somewhere humid, take all of my skincare with me, and it's way too much. It's too much product. I do not need it. I come back here, there's literally not enough product in the world. And it was getting really exhausting for a lot of my clients because I do feel sometimes in a climate like this, the 10-step routine happens. And some of my clients are skincare junkies and they love it and they're willing to do it, but that's not in everybody's budget or lifestyle practice. So I was drawn to SIV because I felt it was going to fill this huge gap in my practice where not only is it budget friendly, but it's tackling a variety of issues in the skin. It's multi-purpose skincare. It can multitask in the skin and help bring us back to homeostasis in a way that, like, I'm going to have to do that with at least 2 to 3 other products on the shelf instead of one.
Totally. No, I hear that all the time. And I notice that in these dry, like these colder, more like harsh climates, it is really hard to keep a proper moisture barrier going. Like everybody has dehydration, everybody has inflammation, cracking. It's very, very difficult to actually find a regimen, to your point, that's simpler than this 10-step routine. Because of that, like the climate that you guys are in is so like harsh sometimes.
Right.
And it erodes the barrier there.
And I feel like I have so much on my shelf for the barrier, but that doesn't necessarily always support the microbiome specifically. And that's kind of where it starts to get tricky, right? Like we have so many different facets of the skin, and for so long we've been treating them individually. I think we're kind of seeing this even like in the realm of health and wellness, where we've been treating the body as like these individual parts instead of as a whole. We forget that the skin is our largest organ. It represents what's happening inside the body, which is also how I treat a lot of my clients. Is I know that this is coming from an internal source. I call myself risk mitigation. I can't cure you, but we can help get you to a place of more comfortability and skin health. So SIV has been like this wonderful little tool that amplifies a lot of what I was already doing or what clients were already on. It's just filling that very, very specific gap that I think a lot of other skincare has really, really tried to do, but it's been tricky up until this point.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we talk about that leaky skin aspect of this all the time, where when the problem really is the microbes that are eroding the barrier, it's almost impossible for just a barrier focused routine to completely solve that issue. And I like what you're saying about how even modern medicine will separate our different organ systems, where we have a specialty over here, a specialty over here. Holistic health is definitely the movement that's going on, and I appreciate that. And I think that should be where medicine goes, because we are all one system, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And, I honestly even think you may be shortchanging yourself as far as where you're like, I can't cure you, and it's only kind of reflecting what's on the outside. It's not true. I mean, the skin being our largest organ really influences our internal health as well.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
We always talk about this study, the Baltimore Longitudinal Study of Aging, right? And to kind of just quickly cap this study, it's essentially a study that follows a group of people over the course of time of them aging, and it's looking at what factors influence how they age. And it's looking at development of chronic diseases. And they actually found that skin health was an independent risk factor for chronic disease internally, meaning the health of their skin directly correlated to whether or not they would develop an internal disease, not the other way around. Not that they had something going on and then their skin was bad. It's their skin was bad, and then they saw internally that there were different inflammatory markers that are mainly made in the skin that settled in other organs of the body.
Yeah, 100%. It's so crazy, honestly. Like I don't think we give the skin enough credit.
We don't.
We're so harsh on it when it's not behaving exactly how we want it to be. But when we don't really have a concern, we don't see a need to care for it as much as if you did struggle with a skin condition. It's kind of interesting. Like, it's almost like this punished organ on repeat.
Totally. No, you're so right. And it's because it's so visible, right? It's such a weird organ in that way, where it's very tangible. You can touch it, you can see it. It's always, you can clearly see if something's wrong with it. But it's so interesting to me always when you have an inflammatory condition, most people aren't necessarily worried about what that's doing to their body or their health. They're just worried about how it's looking. So like, oh, I have acne, like this is so annoying, or oh, I have eczema and this is like so annoying. But what those are is your largest organ constantly inflamed. If that was any other organ in the body, people would be like, oh, my heart's inflamed, this is a big problem. They wouldn't be like, oh, like whatever, hope it doesn't look bad, I hope it doesn't present some weird way on my skin. They'd be like concerned for their health. And people
I think that's so true. Well, we've talked about this. I told you about the eczema on my legs. You've seen it.
Yes.
So that I've never struggled with eczema before in my life. It's like less than a 3% chance of developing it as an adult. It's really, really rare if you've like never had it as a kid to suddenly have it as an adult. And I think I told you that's what led us to figure out that I had mold toxicity. Like at a severe number. I think like something like 16 is high on the scale. I was at 57 when the test came back. And it's like, my face is clear, you know, I'm like a functioning person.
Yeah.
But imagine if it was that bad on my legs. And if you want, I'll send you photos if you want to use it on here. I don't care. Like, we can show people. It's like, if it's that bad on my legs, so what's happening inside of me that it is that bad? And my acupuncturist helped me kind of like get to the root of it with my functional doctor. She said, you know, what's interesting is this is a liver zone and kind of like small intestine zone, but mostly liver. So my functional doctor was like, great, let's do a little liver toxicity test and see what comes back. And that's how we figured out that I had the mold.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
Crazy.
That is crazy. Wow. Well, I'm glad that you figured that out, because yeah, that must have been really taking a toll on your body. But to your point, yeah, what was going on in your body that was then presenting that severely on the legs? I mean, that's just insane. And again, it's holistic. You have to look at the entire picture, you know?
Exactly.
Speaking of, you are incredible at these transformations, looking at the entire picture, looking at these holistic health of these people. So you have been generous enough to let me share a couple of your amazing before and afters that you have achieved with SIV as well. So we have this amazing before and after 3 days, which is like no time at all. Inflammation is way down. Give us some details here. Tell us, like, you know, what was going on here as far as the breakout and the home care and the treatments. Give us some details.
Yeah. So this client has struggled with perioral dermatitis since October of 23, I want to say. And we were doing a really good job managing it as best as we could with, I use osmosis as one of my main product lines. She was using that and lipid serum for a long time, but it just wasn't quite enough. So when I brought on SIV in November, well, I brought it on in October, but my doors weren't open until November. She purchased it and was seeing a really big difference in how well the POD was being controlled. She wasn't having the same number of flare-ups previously, or feeling like the congestion that she was getting as a result of kind of pulling back on actives was nearly as bad, because that's something people will complain about too, is we kind of have to pull them back off of some of their actives if their skin can't handle it. But then she also struggles with acne, congestion, and a few other things with her skin that will get worse if we pull her off of those things. So it always felt like we had to kind of pick and choose for her. Bringing in SIV, we didn't have to pick and choose. Now she brought on plated, I want to say like a few weeks ago, because this is pretty recent. And I am pretty sure that this flare-up was actually, it's either what I like to call a bad coincidence or potentially a response to bringing plated in. Because a lot of people don't realize that when you are working on the cellular level in the skin, you can purge, and a purge isn't always acne. That's kind of what we think of, like, oh, well, I'm not breaking out. No, it could be whatever skin condition you struggle with could get a little amplified before it gets better. But I've never seen somebody have a purge last 3 days or have their POD clear up in 3 days. So what kind of happens is the cells are getting cleared out. They're working really, really hard, and the microbiome tends to get a little disrupted as a result. This happens even inside the body. If we do like a cellular detox internally, a lot of people struggle with gut issues when they're going through that, because it's not like toxins just disappear. They have to come out somewhere, and the skin is one of those areas where toxins will come out. So SIV can really, really help alleviate some of that purging or that discomfort that we get when we start healing at the cellular level.
100%. And I actually hear that all the time, that it does shorten the purging process. It shortens the life cycle of a breakout. It has this really healing effect. And so that combination of, being able to kind of heal the cells internally more so with plated, and then that SIV being able to balance the microbiome and keep those cells operating and functioning properly, that is such a perfect combination. And I love that you've kind of made this your like really kind of signature combination, I feel like, is plated and SIV. I think it's an amazing combination together, and definitely understanding the science behind it, it really makes sense why these two work so well together.
Absolutely. I love them. They're like my dynamic duo. They're so great. Totally.
Oh, amazing. Tell me about her in treatment Like, what were you doing for her as far as facials? Like, if somebody comes in, or if there's an esthetician watching this that has a client like this, that they're like, I haven't been able to really move the needle on this person, what would you kind of tell them?
I would say they need to get osmosis ASAP. So I only have, I'm trying to think, 4 treatments on my menu. I like to think of myself as a luxurious French restaurant. The menu is very short and it covers all of our bases. Part of that too is because I think home care is really, really important. People are investing in these expensive devices, the expensive treatments. They're really pushing the treatments instead of necessarily focusing on the at-home care, which is going to be 80% of our results. So I love Osmosis Nano Channel because it's 100% customizable. You can change it for anyone when they come in. You can make it so specific to their skin type. One thing I love about them is they have these dehydrated powder actives. So I usually create a very, very specific little concoction for my POD clients. Now, she can handle actives even when she's having a flare-up. Not everybody can. Some people actually do really well on an osmosis vitamin A when they struggle with POD because it's retinaldehyde, which is very, very different from like a retinol with an O or a retinoid.
Okay.
And it's important to note that difference. I don't need to get totally into it, but retinaldehyde mimics the vitamin A in our skin, and it can actually help replenish the moisture barrier. And it also, depending on the one that you decide to put them on, because they have 4 different options. Some of them have really amazing antibacterial properties that are still going to maintain the barrier. We're not hitting them with harsh actives like mandelic or anything like that. There was no azelaic used in this transformation, which is very, very common for POD. This is just retinaldehyde, a few of their dehydrated actives, and then the rest of they have a whole protocol. It's a little laborious, but it's very, very worth it if you have anybody that struggles with POD.
Okay, amazing. And then tell me about her home care. What was her regimen there?
Yeah, so she is on, again, a variety of osmosis, epicutis, plated, and SIV now. So some people are a little bit more high maintenance. Some people can get away with just plated or just lipid and SIV. I've had actually a lot of people have success with that. The reason why she needs a little bit more is she also struggles with redness and acne. So we have a few different things at play, and sometimes it's all right, one thing is not going to do it all, but having intrinsic skincare, so that would be lipid and plated, combined with that extrinsic skincare that's supporting the skin's microbiome and the skin barrier. Again, that's why you're going to get something 3 days later. So Rescue Serum by Osmosis is one of my favorites. It is a stabilized oxygen molecule. We know how good oxygen is for the skin. It's the reason why things like Skin Pen are really great, or carboxy gel, all of those things that help bring oxygen to the skin. And then living in a harsh climate where the barrier is constantly getting impaired and we don't really have a lot of oxygen at altitude, that's obviously going to be a great thing to bring into play. And then SIV. So she has a really good routine. She also uses Clarify by Osmosis, which is really great. It's one of their retinaldehydes, but it also has beta-glucan in it. So it's going to be hydrating while also simultaneously antibacterial.
Okay. Awesome. Wow. That was so comprehensive and amazing. I'm sure that people are going to be obsessed with that when they listen. Okay. And you also have this other amazing one. So 3 months here, which the redness in this is just so striking how reduced the redness was now. And I think you also mentioned something about her neck. She was even able to go a little bit longer with the neck without a flare. So walk us through this one. Would you characterize this as rosacea? Is this like a dermatitis? Give us your analysis of it. And then
I know it's so hard because we're technically not allowed to diagnose, but I don't think she struggles with rosacea. I actually think she struggles with more of a dermatitis and a very, very sensitive skin barrier, because she'll kind of go through waves of being really red and then not red at all. And it will happen overnight, which is why I'm I don't really think it's rosacea, but it's hard because we live at this high altitude climate, close to the sun. A lot of people struggle with redness here, myself included. What's crazy about the after photo is that was 2 days after Skin Pen microneedling.
Oh, wow.
So she was even not really red after skin pen, which is insane. And she brought SIV back in 24 hours later after I did the skin pen on her. So yeah, she's always struggled with redness. It's gone through waves of us getting it controlled, but never at this level. And then she just started struggling with the neck eczema, I want to say about a year ago. Still unknown causes. We're not quite sure why it flares up, but nothing we've done prior has been able to help with her neck the way Plated and SIV has. She went a whole month after she brought it in without having a single flare up, and then went almost a full 4 months, which is why we were able to skin pen microneedle her neck.
Oh my God. Amazing. And so for her face though, the before picture, was she already on stuff before that?
Yeah, she was on medical grade skincare. That's what's so crazy. Okay. She just has this really sensitive barrier and very persistent redness. Again, some people do, but to me, it's like so obvious when you see on the left side, it's like we have to heal at the cellular level, but that's going to probably cause some uncomfortability seeing how red she is. And that's why you have to balance with like that microbiome and that barrier repair. She's actually on a very similar regimen to the last client. I wouldn't say get stuck with that being your regimen. That's more of a coincidence that their skin can handle the same routine, because you still want to personalize everything. But very, very similar routines, actually very similar treatments. And I knew microneedling would help her because it's going to help retrain her skin to behave properly. We're going to help heal it even further at the cellular level. And when you're opening all those channels in the skin, you're driving oxygen into the skin. So we're retraining her skin to also stay the way that it is on Plated and SIV and her routine. Instead of kind of going through this roller coaster motion, we just have to retrain it. Start over.
Okay, amazing. And so in the before picture, she wasn't on SIV yet. And now in the after picture, it was microneedling, SIV, Plated, the whole 9.
Yeah, exactly. And I just can't believe that was 2 days after microneedling. I was like, you look flawless. You look flawless.
Incredible. And I always recommend to use SIV right after or 24 hours after microneedling, because to your point, the skin is remodeling. There's going through a lot of re-education, a lot of repair, and all of that's overseen by the immune system, right? And our immune system is controlled by these microbes. So it makes perfect sense why SIV would respond so well in those conditions where it's helping the skin to just heal so much faster. And I mean, this is an amazing result. I didn't even know that this was 2 days after microneedling. Like, that is crazy. So
I know, she sent me that photo and my jaw dropped. And again, you know, she struggles with eczema. So to your point, the immune system is already at play, but I was able to microneedle her neck because it had been clear for so long and not worry that she was going to have this crazy immune reaction in her skin, because some clients do post microneedling. I have to warn them because I know their health history. You might struggle a little bit after microneedling. Be really diligent because it's part of your immune system and the channels are wide open right now.
Yep, 100%. That is amazing. Okay. Well, I think that was a wealth of information. I think people are going to find that to be very, very helpful, especially when they have people coming in that look similar to what you've allowed us to present here. So as we wrap up here, though, I always ask everybody who comes on here, what is your hot take here?
My hot take is that I think people really need to be investing in their at-home care instead of the expensive in-studio treatments. I know that prior, it felt like we really needed treatments to move the needle in people's skin. And now I think we are seeing a shift. People are focusing more on skincare and at-home care. People need to have everything they need at home to succeed. I don't want my clients reliant on me or feel like when their skin is having a flare-up, they have to get in for a facial. I want them to know that they can just reach right into their cabinet and they're going to be able to handle this on their own.
Mm-hmm. I actually totally agree with you because, which first of all, it's very admirable and brave of you to say this as an esthetician, right? Who pretty much makes your living on people coming in.
I know. I tell clients all the time, I'm like, I'm going to shoot myself in the foot here, but if you do nothing else, like you could literally never get facials again. Please invest in your at-home care.
Yeah. Yeah. And it makes sense though, because the at-home care they're using every single day, right? And with facials, you're seeing them once, maybe twice a month max if they're on like an acne boot camp or something. So they're coming in bi-weekly or, every month. And that's only like 1/30th, of the month or 1/15th of the month.
Right.
Where they're using their home care 30 out of 30 days, hopefully, if they're compliant.
Yeah, hopefully.
But no, I totally agree with you that home care, if they're not keeping up on that, they're never going to be able to see the full extent of their results, even if they were coming to see you more frequently, because you're just never going to be able to see them and have as much contact with the face as their home care would. So I think that makes perfect sense. I think consumers will appreciate that take. I appreciate it. I have a feeling other estheticians may agree. Other estheticians may be like, yeah, but the facial's still important. So, hey, we'll see how the people respond. I think it'll be fine, though.
I do think facials are important because there's obviously some things I can do for people that they're not going to be able to do at home. That's the whole point, right?
Don't extract yourself at home.
No, I mean, I have a medical director and I perform medical corrective treatments for a reason. I do things that I believe in, but not everybody has the budget or access to me. So you got to focus on what you can control. Your at-home routine is of the utmost importance. It's really hard to transform somebody's skin without them being on the right at-home care.
100%. Absolutely agree. All right. Well, Katherine, thank you so much for this super informative, detailed episode. I'm obsessed with that. I think people are going to love it. And tell everybody where they can find you on Instagram, your website. Are you taking virtuals? If you are, can they book with you? Give them all the details. And all of those links will also be in our show notes as well, guys. So but go ahead and say them here.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Denver Glow Getter on Instagram, pretty easy to find. I'm at Rev Skin and Wellness. I am the owner, founder, and only esthetician here for now. I do have someone joining my team. This is the first time that I'm actually announcing that. So I know, I'm really excited. I can't wait for everybody to meet her. She is lovely. So, which will help a lot because I actually have a wait list right now, which pains me to say because I wish I could take everybody. If someone's desperate though, please message me. We'll see if we can figure out a way to do something virtual. I do take virtuals. I take people in studio and I'm working my way through that wait list as fast as possible. But yeah, keep your eyes peeled for my new teammate.
Oh my gosh, that is so exciting. Yeah, guys, really here first.
I know.
Oh my God, amazing. Okay, well, thank you, Katherine. And we will see everybody next time.